Well, guess what? It's time for another round of the truth or myth game. Check out these facts you've known since childhood and try to figure out which of them are actual facts and which are no more than popular misconceptions. Zombies are not made up. True. Okay, we as humans can't turn into ones as we see in movies, but the animal kingdom has its zombies. For instance, one type of fungus takes over ants with specific chemicals. Something changes in the ant brain, so it leaves its family to fulfill a special mission, finding some special branch or leaf where the fungus sprouts out of it and then releases spores back into the world. Bats are blind. Not true at all. The myth probably comes from the fact that they're nocturnal creatures and have extraordinary hearing abilities. They hunt mostly when it's dark and rely on a thing called echolocation, just like whales. But it doesn't mean they're blind. Their eyes aren't useless, they're just adjusted to low-light conditions. The world's biggest waterfall is under the ocean. Now, this one's very true. It's in the Nordic Sea. The cold seawater is denser than the warm waterfall. The drop is almost 2 miles. The smallest wasp in the world is not bigger than an amoeba. Well, this is true as well. This wasp has the same body parts as other bugs, like eyes, wings, brain, legs, and more, but it's just 0.008 inches long, which in most cases makes it smaller than single-celled organisms we also know as amoebas. An ostrich egg will always have several yolks. Not true. Just like a regular chicken egg, an ostrich one has just one yolk. It's pretty large though, equal to about 24 chicken egg yolks. All dinosaurs were giants. Well, that's false. Movies show them as huge, scaly lizards, but nope. First off, there were many smaller dinosaur species, and some of them were as small as a turkey or a pigeon. Plus, some dinos, like T-Rex, were even covered with feathers, especially at the early stages of their lives. Oxygen is colorless. Well, this one is true, but only partially. As a gas, it has no color, but in solid or liquid form, it has a sky blue shade. We only use 10% of our brain. Well, speaking for myself, that's true, but it's overall false. The idea about hiding incredible powers in the rest of our brain makes for a good movie, but in reality, it's different. We actually use 100% of our brain all the time. It's only that parts of it are more active than others in different circumstances. The origins of the 10% myth date back to the 1890s with Harvard psychologists William James and Boris Sidis. Lobsters taste with their feet. Okay, this one is true. Humans actually do the same sometimes. We can taste garlic with our feet. Rub some of it on the bottom of your bare foot and enjoy the taste in your mouth. The chemical that gives garlic its unique smell gets absorbed through the skin, passes through the bloodstream, and ends up in your mouth and nose. Well, I think it's a good thing that we don't have to taste everything we step in. Moving on. Apes are our ancestors. Nope. We are all primates and have some common but very distinct ape ancestor with species like chimpanzees. Still, evolution works in a more complex way than that. The family tree divides, after which each species develops in their own direction. That way, humans and apes got many distinctive features after dividing their lineage in a very distant past. Then maybe Neanderthals are our ancestors? Myth again. Even though they lived at the same time modern humans at one point, they mostly inhabited different areas of our planet. So they're not just a stage of human development, but a different lineage. They were also pretty creative. They used fire, made tools, ate medicinal plants, cleaned their teeth, and did so many more things similar to our species. Neanderthals probably went extinct because of the harsh climate changes. The sun is yellow. Not true. This is an illusion created by the Earth's atmosphere. The true color of the sun is white. It all depends on the temperature. The cooler the star is, the deeper and darker it is. So the coolest stars are dark red or brown, and then there are hotter red stars. If the star is about 10,000 degrees Kelvin, it's blue. The Sun is not the hottest star, so with a surface temperature of about 6,000 Kelvin, it is white. Black holes are actual holes. This is a myth. Contrary to what the name implies, they aren't empty. They are very dense objects with an extremely strong gravitational pull. Here, step into this. Whoops! If you venture into a desert, you probably still need to grab an umbrella. True. It's a common misconception that it never rains in deserts. For example, the Sonoran Desert in Arizona is probably one of the wettest deserts on Earth, with up to 20 inches of rain per year. Dogs can only distinguish black and white. Myth. Sure thing your pup won't tell the difference between maroon and purple, but dogs do see a few colors. Their dominant ones are blue and yellow. For instance, when doggies see a rainbow, it looks for them as a sequence of brownish, light yellow, gray, light blue, and dark blue.
There are two sides to every story. Just like to a regular cotton pad. Two different textures, to be more precise. One is smooth, and you're supposed to use it for more sensitive areas of your face, for example, the eyes. The rougher side can help you remove makeup and clean your face in less sensitive areas, like the forehead. If you like having greenery in your home, you've probably noticed the flower pots have holes at the bottom. These holes are the reason your green friends live a happy life. They're extremely important for water drainage. Thanks to these holes, you'll avoid stagnant water buildup that can eventually ruin your plant. Also, thanks to those holes, roots can grow and expand beyond the limits of your pot. Have you noticed aviator sunglasses mostly have green lenses? It has something to do with their origin. First, they showed up in the 1930s. Before that, pilots had goggles to protect their eyes while they were in the air. High altitudes with glaring sun and sub-zero temperatures were a real test for their eyes. The goggles helped them with those issues, but there was another one. Since the temperature differences between the air outside and within the goggles were big, the lenses would fog up and obscure the pilot's view. So, the company Bausch & Lomb came up with teardrop lenses surrounded by a light metal frame. These lenses were dark green because this tint cuts out blue light, which is also a problem for pilots when they're flying above the cloud line. Plus, green lenses also reduce glare and improve contrast and sharpness. Holes in the side of your Converse sneakers? Are those really necessary? Well, they allow air to enter your shoe so your feet can stay cool. You can also use them to style up your shoes and tie them in different ways too. There are two reasons plastic bottles have grooves. First, if you're drinking cold water and it's hot outside, you'll see there's a lot of condensation on your bottle. Or maybe if you're playing some sport or working out. Your hands are sweaty, and if a bottle had a smooth surface, it would be more difficult to grip it. So the ridges are there to improve your hand grip. The second reason is that because of these ridges, manufacturers can use thinner plastic. That means they need less material in overall production. And that plastic is still firm enough for the bottle to maintain its shape. Wooden coat hangers are not just there to look nice. Since they're made of cedar wood, they bring a nice scent to your closet. Plus, they repel bugs. They're also quite firm, so they come in handy for heavy clothes, such as jackets. And it's hard to damage them. So, they'll serve you longer. You may have noticed there's a colored square at the bottom of your toothpaste. These blocks mostly come in blue, red, green, and black. They are some sort of eye marks, since they help manufacturing machines at the assembly line recognize where and when to cut the toothpaste and seal the end of the tube. Some boots have loops at their top and back. Looks like a fashion statement, doesn't it? Or maybe it's something that manufacturers add for fun. But those loops actually have their purpose. With them, you can pull the shoe up when trying to wear it. Plus, you can easily hang them or use the loop for better support for the laces. Confession time. Remember those attachments your vacuum cleaner came with? Did you also put them somewhere aside and never use them again? They're actually pretty helpful when you're cleaning the house because you can use them for particular areas that are sometimes hard to reach with the regular attachment. We all know what the vegetable peeler is for, but besides peeling the skin of carrots or potatoes, you can use it for onions too. It may be faster than doing it with a knife, plus it will save you some onion tears. Some sweatshirts have something pretty specific in the neck area. A V-shaped stitch you can see in the middle of the collar. The ribbed insert, similar to the ribbing at the hem and the sleeves, would allow the owner to put the garment on more easily, and it wouldn't even lose shape. The V-insert would stretch, so a person wearing the sweatshirt could get their head through the neck. Its purpose was also to absorb sweat. In its early versions, sweatshirts had both the back and the front of the collars. Through time, they lost the back one, and this V-insert became something decorative since manufacturers started to stitch a V at the collar without using the ribbed material they had added before. Brightly colored squares or circles you see on food packages aren't an indication of vitamins, minerals, or certain flavors that food contains. And nope, it's not some secret code consumers are supposed to crack. It's actually for printing engineers. They're called process control patches or printer's color blocks. During the process of printing the food packaging, manufacturers use those colored blocks to check if the printing ink is correct. They compare the color of blocks they print to make sure the brand they print for has a consistent and recognizable quality all over the world. There are things about your body you know for sure, or don't you? Can you guess what exactly is a myth or fact? 1 point is for each correct answer. Let me know your score. Brown eggs are more nutritious than white eggs. Myth or fact? Myth. There is no study saying brown eggs are healthier than white eggs. The only difference is the color of the eggshell. The color of the eggshell doesn't affect its nutrition or quality. That is related to the type of chicken. Chickens with white earlobes tend to have white eggs. Have you heard that a large amount of the dust in your home is actually decanted skin? Not cool, I know. Do you think this is a myth or a fact? This is a myth. You're not just mopping your skin flakes from the floor. Many other components make the house dust. Fibers, hair, building materials, mold, pollen, insect body parts, and ash are some of them, according to the study made in Canadian houses. This makes sense because a house nearby a busy highway or in a renovation area has more dust than a house in the middle of a forest. Skin is our largest organ. Is this a fact or myth? It's a fact. You might think for a second that the intestine can be quite large when you unfold it, but nope. Skin wins the contest. An adult carries around 8 pounds and 22 square feet of skin. Can't think of us without a skin. It's not just there to cover our bodies, it has an essential role in protecting us too. You can't breathe and swallow at the same time. Myth or fact? It's a fact. Maybe you already knew the correct answer, but you tried it anyway after reading this, so see it for yourself. So in your throat, there are 2 passageways important for your survival. I'm putting aside the fancy medical names, and I'll refer to those 2 as airway and food pipe. They prevent breathing and swallowing simultaneously. Otherwise, food would enter the airway and cause severe complications. This doesn't always go as planned. That's why sometimes you end up coughing and preventing the piece of food from reaching the lungs. As well as having unique fingerprints, humans also have unique tongue prints. Is this a myth or fact? Fact! The human tongue is magnificent enough in its features that make us taste the food. It's also unique in its texture. People use biometric systems like fingerprints, voice scans, and iris scans for authentication. They are important to the identification and verification phases. Tongue print is unique, so it's very hard to copy it. It can be used as a biometric system tool too. What if people started using this system in their daily lives for safety reasons? Imagine locking a safe or your phone with a tongue print. An adult spends 3 hours in the bathroom every week. Do you think this is a fact or myth? It's a fact. A poll by scientists reveals that an average adult spends 3 hours and 9 minutes on the toilet every week. This is more than the time they spent exercising. Take your sweet time. No need to rush. You swallow 8 spiders a year while sleeping. Myth or fact? Don't believe it. Lucky for us, and for the spiders of course, this is not true. Fear no more and have a good night's sleep. Most spiders don't deliberately come near humans. Plus, vibrations coming from a sleeping person might be uncanny for them. Or maybe the spider just lives in the habitat. It thinks that you are flatmates sharing a room. As long as there is actual evidence, I call this a myth. Your thigh bone can resist thousands of pounds of force. Do you think this is a myth or a fact? Yes, this is a fact. People generally refer to it as tight bone, but its actual name is femur bone. This bone is located on the upper part of your leg. Experts say that this bone is hard to break. It's one of the 2 strongest bones in our anatomy. The first one is the temporal bone of the skull. If you wondered about the first one. Anyway, a tight bone can support 30 times more of your body weight. Maybe it's because the femur bone is the longest and largest bone in the human body. Do you believe that shaving your hair makes it grow back thicker? Fact or myth? Watch how I debunk that myth. Experts say shaving doesn't affect the thickness of the hair. The hair's head didn't remove, so the root is still there. You only shave the upper part. After a shave, the hair grows bluntly because it's been cut. That's why you may feel it's getting thicker.
So, you just sat down to eat at your favorite restaurant. The waiter comes by the table to get your order of drinks. You've been craving some soda all day, so you order a Coke. The waiter looks really sorry, but he says, "It's a Pepsi restaurant." Can you count the number of times this has happened to you? Even when you're traveling abroad, it's either Coke or Pepsi. If you like both, you end up having to pick sides. So, how about we get to the bottom of this rivalry? Is one of them objectively better than the other? The first category, variety. I'd say both companies are pretty good at this. You can easily choose between diet, no sugar, and even cherry Coke. While with Pepsi, you can even order such wild tastes as lemon, lime, caramel, and even some spicy flavors. The next category is taste. As you probably know, taste is something very personal. There's no right or wrong answer here, of course, but everyone has their favorite. The Coca-Cola recipe has been an intensely guarded secret since 1891, when John Pemberton, the inventor of the drink, sold the recipe. It was then modified by the buyer, Asa Candler, and that's exactly the recipe we know and love today. Meanwhile, Pepsi's sweet taste was invented by Calum Bradham. Sometime later, Charles Guth purchased Bradham's bankrupt company. This guy also owned a candy company named Loft. Can it explain why Pepsi's recipe is sweeter than Coke's? What do your taste buds say? Coke or Pepsi? Now, you've just woken up. You ordered pizza the night before and are ready to have some leftovers for breakfast. You open the fridge and, you're faced with a tough choice: cold pizza or cold pasta. How and why do both of these dishes taste so good when cold? There's actually science behind their amazing taste. According to pasta experts, your spaghetti tastes even better the next day because of that little thing called starch. It's mainly found in cereals and potatoes. To put it simply, the ingredients of these dishes have more time to get to know each other better as they spend the night sitting in the fridge. The starch absorbs the fat and sauce and seasoning overnight. It vacuums all the tastiness and makes the flavor much richer. This goes for both pizza and pasta. I guess it's not coincidence, then, that some people often over-order these types of food just so they can have some leftovers to appreciate the next morning. No, we never do that at my house. Still on the topic of pizza, I say let's settle the pineapple on pizza debate once and for all. It's true that this is the line that separates many of us. One side of the argument says berries should never go on pizza. Wait, what? In case you didn't know, pineapples are actually berries. A group of berries that have fused together, that is. Now, on the other side, there are Hawaiian pizza lovers. These ones will try to convince you how great pineapple is when mixed together with tomato sauce. It's supposed to add sweetness and freshness to counterbalance the spice of the tomato sauce. So, what do you have to say about that? Yay or nay? Oh, and have you ever tried pineapples on burgers? Yep, they have Concord burgers as well. Some fans say pineapple plays the same role as pickles. It provides that sweet, salty, and tangy flavor that your burger experience is in dire need of. Now, no twin is exactly the same, except when it comes to Twix bars. If you're the one to pick sides, then I guess you've already picked yours. Now, tell me, are you the left Twix or the right Twix fan? Does it make any difference? Or is it all just a genius marketing move? If you've bought Twix over the last years, you've probably been faced with three options: a regular package, a package that is said to contain 2 left Twix bars, and another one that contains 2 right Twix bars. Now, as you may know, Twix comes in pairs. But in 2012, Twix's manufacturer Mars took this to the next level. They began to claim that the bars were not identical twins. Through very humorous commercials, Mars gives the consumer the idea that the production process for each bar is different. The story is that the Twix inventors, brothers Earl and Seamus, once reached a breaking point, quite literally. They disagreed on chocolate pouring techniques and caramel consistency, so each brother went on to found his own company. For example, in the left Twix company, the crunchy cookie base is cascaded in caramel and bathed in chocolate, while in the right Twix company, the crisp cookie and creamy caramel base are cloaked in chocolate. Now, if you ask me, this sounds like a bunch of synonyms thrown together. Hey, I like synonyms, especially on my oatmeal. Anyway, some excited fans have even gone as far as to fact-check if there are any real differences between the left and right Twix bars. It turns out that the left Twix was just a little bit crunchier. And in case you're wondering how that was tested, let's just say it involved a digital decibel meter. The bars on the left average 72.3 decibels in crunchiness, while the bars on the right average 69.6 decibels. So does that mean louder tastes better? You tell me. Fans think it might be due to the packaging or storage of Twix chocolate bars. They suggest it's less about left versus right and more about top versus bottom placement. The Twix that ends up at the bottom of the package during the production process might be less crunchy. Oy. That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.